A very good afternoon to everyone who are joining us live on Zoom as well on Facebook Live. Welcome to today's public online forum entitled Food for the Eye in conjunction with World Sight Day. The official World Sight Day is celebrated globally on every second Tuesday of October, and this year it fell on the 14th of October 2021. So instead of celebrating it for just a day, the College of Ophthalmology, the Academy of Malaysia, has decided to extend World Sight Day celebration for a whole month. The theme for this year's World Sight Day is #LoveYourEye. And we Malaysians are known to love to eat. So what better way to celebrate World Sight Day by celebrating our love for food, the ophthalmology way, with this forum entitled Food for the Eye. Welcome to today's public online forum. My name is Dr. Bendy C, and I am a general ophthalmologist practicing in Sarawak General Hospital, Kuching, and also an avid food lover. We hope that this forum on eye health and food will be valuable for all of you listening today. And thank you once again for joining us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. So before we start, let us listen to the welcome speech by Professor Mimiwati, the Vice President of College of Ophthalmology of Malaysia, also the consultant glaucomatologist of Hospital Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Welcome, Prof.
Hi, I am Associate Professor Dr. Jemima Cianza, the Vice President of the College of Ophthalmology, Academy of Medicine, Malaysia. World Sight Day is celebrated on Thursday of the second week of October every year. This year, the theme for World Sight Day is Love Your Eyes. To celebrate the World Sight Day, the College of Ophthalmologists, Academy of Medicine Malaysia has organized a series of webinars targeted to the public and community to give information on eye diseases and eye care to ensure better care for the eyes. Eyes is one of the most important but often forgotten senses in the body, which need better attention. Eyes should be taken care by every person in the society, and it starts with our own self. Infants and children especially cannot take care of themselves. Therefore, their parents need to ensure the eyes of their children are in good condition. Failure of eye stimulation during childhood can cause vision to be poor and not able to function properly. In the other hand, when growing older, various diseases related to eyes may occur, and regular checkups on the eyes are necessary to ensure the eyes are in perfect condition, as eye diseases or problems cannot be seen with the naked eye. Eye problems can happen to anyone, either silently without any symptoms, or symptoms such as loss of vision, red eye, pain, or swelling. Our webinar series will last for 1 month, and each week will feature different topics by experts who will give tips and ways to ensure vision can be maintained. There will be also case sharing on various scenarios involving eye injuries, eye diseases related to systemic disease, aging that can cause permanent blindness if we are nonchalant about our eye care. I hope these webinar sessions will benefit all. Please feel free to ask our expert on any issue related to the topic discussed. Hope you will enjoy the webinars as we enjoy preparing them for you. Love your eyes. Thank you.
We have a full exciting program lined up over this lunch hour for you. We shall start with 2 talks by our local esteemed experts, followed by a discussion and a Q&A session, which I would like to invite all of you to kindly type in any questions that you have for our panel speakers in the Q&A box below, or if you're streaming through Facebook Live, you can type them in the comment box below. Don't forget to hit the like and share button with your family and friends, because let's share about learning about loving our eyes through food. So without much further ado, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you our very first speaker of the day, Professor Dr. Mimiwati binti Zahari, who is my very own previous head of department of Universiti Malaya. She's received her specialization in ophthalmology from Universiti Malaya in Singapore in 1999 and regained her fellowship of ophthalmology in the same year. Her interests in researchers are mainly in the field of glaucoma surgery, and optic neuroprotection. She's currently in a joint international research testing the latest glaucoma drainage implant and intracameral drug delivery. In recognition of her great services, she was awarded the Achievement Award by the Malaysian Society of Ophthalmology, the Distinguished Service Award by the Asia Pacific Academy of Ophthalmology, and the Muhammad Noor Maharakim Award by the Conjoint Board of Ophthalmology, just to name a few awards. She's also the founder of Malaysia Glaucoma Interest Circle and the advisor of the Glaucoma Society. For those of us who know her personally, we know that she has special interest in marathon, triathlon, scuba diving, and dancing. So please welcome Professor Dr. Mimiwati. Yep, ready.
Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone listening in. My name is Dr. Mimiwati. I am from the University of Malaya Medical Center. The topic for today is food for the eyes. Now, can food affect eye health? I have always been asked by my patients if they can eat something or there's some supplements that they can take that can improve their vision. Well, the good news is yes, a proper nutrition can actually prevent certain conditions of the eyes. For example, dry eyes, cataract, diabetic retinopathy, age-related macular degeneration, and glaucoma. Before we proceed, let me just brief you on the anatomy of the eyeball so that it's easy for you to understand the diseases later on. So our eyeball is like a camera. If you want to take a good photo or a clear photo, or if you want to see well, you must ensure that the structures in front are clear. So in the eye, we have the cornea. So the cornea is like the glass surface of your watch. We have the hole in the iris called the pupil. We have the lens at the back of the pupil. We have a cavity here filled with a fluid called vitreous, and lining the back part of the eyeball is the retina, which is like the film for the eye. Now, in the retina, the most important and the most sensitive part is called the macula. If there's anything that happens to the macula, you would notice it immediately because it will be directly affecting your vision. Now, all this information or messages which has reached the retina has to be transmitted to the brain, and this is through the optic nerve. In our eye, we also have your factory that produces your tears. So underneath your lids, there is a lacrimal gland which produces the watery part of the tears. There are some tarsal glands which produces the oily part of the tears. There are also mucin glands, which is in the conjunctiva, that produces the mucin part of the tears. Now, as mentioned just now, the diseases that can be sort of prevented or improved with proper nutrition. So these include dry eyes, which affects the cornea, cataract, which affects the lens, diabetic retinopathy, which affects the retina, age-related macular degeneration, which affects the macula, and glaucoma, which affects the optic nerve. Now, all these diseases, they would affect the vision in a different way. For cataracts, usually you get a generalized blurring of vision. In diabetic retinopathy, usually the vision has localized patches of scotoma or areas that you can't see. In age-related macular degeneration, because it affects the center of the macula, the central vision is usually affected. And in glaucoma, usually the peripheral vision is affected first before it creeps into the center part of the eyesight. Now let's look at cataract first. So a cataract is an opacification of the lens. So a lens which is supposed to be clear becomes opaque, and this is due to certain oxidative processes which affects the proteins and the fats in the lens itself. So it depends on which part of the lens is involved. If the nucleus of the lens is involved, it would appear something like this, and the patient would usually complain of not being able to see far, but somehow their reading is improved. If the cortex is involved, usually the patient will complain of seeing halos or glare. And if the posterior subcapsular area is involved, the patient usually complains of not being able to read well, and the vision usually is worse in bright sunlight. But anyhow, whatever the cause of cataract, which of course the commonest cause is age-related, the underlying process is the same. It is usually due to oxidative stress. And when we say oxidative stress, it usually means a free radical attacking a normal cell. Now, free radicals are oxygen molecules, which is unstable because they have lost one electron. And because they have lost one electron, they're unstable. They try to steal it away from a normal electron, from a normal atom. And thus, this is the process which is called oxidation. And to stabilize or to equilibrate this process, we need antioxidants to stop the free radicals. Now back to the cataract. So once it is opaque, you can never reverse it. And once it is established, the patient usually has to undergo cataract removal, or what we call phacoemulsification with a lens implant. So how can diet affect cataract? Can it reverse cataract? No, it cannot, but yes, it can prevent cataract. And this has been proven in various studies. In Sweden, for example, in a study among a large group of women aged 49 years and above, those women whose diet contained the highest total antioxidant capacity were significantly less likely to develop cataracts. And the main contributors to the dietary antioxidants in this group were fruit and vegetables, whole grains, and coffee. Now, in Australia, they found out the same, that patients who take in a higher dose of antioxidants or a combined intake of antioxidants, it reduced the risk of cataracts. At the same time, they also found what can increase the risk of cataract, which is a diet high in carbohydrates. Now, in the US, again, they found similar results, where if you eat a variety of vitamins and minerals, it can help delay the development of cataracts. And in the US, they also found a diet rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, moderately associated with decreased prevalence of cataracts in older women. So therefore, healthy foods, particularly those containing antioxidants, can slow down cataract formation by preventing free radical damage. Let's next go to diabetic retinopathy. And as you know, patients with diabetes, if you don't control your diabetes, your blood vessels are unhealthy. It's not just in the eyes, it's throughout the whole body. But in the eyes, you can actually look straight at it to see what it's doing. So in diabetic retinopathy, you often find leakage of vessels, blockage of vessels. There'll be bleeding, and there'll be leakage of proteins and fats, or what we call exudates. So usually it is painless. Retina has got no pain sensation, so there's no early warning signs. The loss of vision can be sudden. It can be at the side or centrally, or deteriorating progressively. And they can also get floaters, especially if there is bleeding in the eye. Because the retina has lack of oxygen, the blood vessels actually cry out for help, and they will actually grow new vessels. But these new vessels are actually very, very, I call it naughty. They tend to bleed easily. They're not strong. And at the same time, they tend to pull elastic tissue with them. So what they do is they create havoc on the retina, and they can tear your retina up. You can get what we call a tractional retinal detachment, which is really, really blinding. The treatment for diabetic retinopathy, the proliferative type, that means if, let's say, the new vessels has been found to be present, is to laser the retina. Now, the risk factors for diabetic retinopathy is a longer duration of diabetes, hypertension, higher sugar levels, uncontrolled lipid levels, high body mass index, chronic kidney disease, and cardiovascular disease. Well, the high body mass index is something that we can reverse. So you need to watch the weight, because obesity accounts for almost 85% of the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And what you should not eat is omega-6 fatty acids, which can be found in processed foods, too much eggs, salty snacks, cakes, and cured meats. So these omega-6 fatty acids cause inflammation in the body that can trigger diabetes. Also, the fatty acids are high in caloric content. Now, there is a potential role of what we call anthocyanins in preventing diabetes, not only preventing diabetes, also preventing its complications. Now, this is because it affects the glucose metabolism, the glucose uptake, improves the insulin secretion, and so on. So this is a promising approach for an alternative diabetic management. Now, anthocyanins are actually the pigments in fruits, the red and bluish color in fruits such as berries and cherries, in vegetables such as eggplants, and in grapes, and also found in red wine. So anthocyanins not only help to reduce diabetes, mellitus and its complications, but it has also found to help reduce the risk of cataracts and also macular degeneration, and also help the health of the cornea and the blood vessels in various parts of the eye. It is actually part of the bioflavonoids, and it is a very powerful antioxidant. Now, age-related macular degeneration, in this, the central vision is distorted because of macular involvement. And this is because there are deposits on the macula. The risk factors for RMD include aging, women, smoking, high blood pressure, and exposure to light. They have found a lowered risk in those who have a high intake of dietary carotenoids, antioxidants, zinc, and omega-3 fatty acids. So just a bit on how you can get a RMD. Well, because in the retina, there is a structure called the retinal pigment epithelium, whose function is to maintain the photoreceptors. It's supposed to sweep away the debris, regenerate visual pigments, but as usual, because of aging, they become tired, I guess, become lazy, and they don't sweep off the rubbish any longer, and you get deposits, and we call this drusen. If you just get deposits like this, with the Brooks membrane here still intact, is called dry ARMD. However, in certain cases where there's some inflammation going on, the damage is worse, where the Brooks membrane is even weaker, and this will enable the choroid vessels below it to go through this membrane and cause a lot of leaking and damage to the photoreceptors and the retinal pigment epithelium above. And that is called wet ARMD, which is totally devastating because it can cause, sudden blindness, and the central vision is usually wiped out. Now, the treatment of RMD is to inject antivascular endothelial growth factors in the eye. And this is so that there is a reduction of the growth of the new blood vessels, and thus also decrease the leakage through the blood vessels. And there are certain anti-VEGF agents that we use here, which are all quite expensive. Now, what is the role of antioxidants in RMD and cataracts? There are two landmark studies done in the States. It's called the ARED study, Age-Related Eye Disease Study. It's a large study where there are almost 4,000 participants, ages from 55 to 80, followed up for 5 years. So in the first study, which was published in 2001, what they did was they put the patients on daily dose of these multivitamins, vitamin C, 500 milligrams, which is quite a high dose, vitamin E, 400 international units, beta-carotene, 15 milligrams, zinc, 80 milligrams, and copper, 2 milligrams. And they found out that patients on this high dose of multivitamins actually has reduced their risk of progression from moderate to advanced stages by 25%. So they did a second study after that because they wanted to modify this multivitamins because one thing they wanted to take out beta-carotene, because beta-carotene has been found to be linked with lung cancer in smokers. So they took out beta-carotene, but instead they added lutein, zeaxanthin, and some omega-3 fatty acids, which is the DHA, then the EPA. And they found out that with this new formula, there is actually an 80% lower risk of developing advanced RMD versus this original formula, despite taking out the beta-carotene. And this is especially useful, taking these supplements is especially useful for those whose diet is deficient, especially in the lutein and zeaxanthin. However, please note that there is no benefit actually to take these vitamins for normal eyes or for early age-related macular degeneration, and it doesn't really prevent progression to dry AMD, and it doesn't prevent cataracts. Now, talking about lutein and zeaxanthin, they are actually pigments found in orange-colored vegetables, and it so happens they also found it in the macula itself. And in human eyes, the researchers have found that with increased pigments, there is increased protectiveness from damage. So they believe that these pigments actually block the blue light from reaching the photoreceptors in the retina. And by eating nutritional supplement can actually effectively increase the density of the macula. So actually, whatever you take, it does go to the macula itself. And they have found out that because there's two, right, lutein and zeaxanthin, it is best to take it in combination because it is more effective than taking a single one at the same total concentration. So participants with early age-related macular degeneration who consume 8 milligrams per day of dietary zeaxanthin for 1 year actually improved their night driving and their vision of an average 1.5 lines on an eye chart. Research in AMD has also shown that vitamin B6, B12, and folic acid can reduce the incidence of AMD, and vitamin D has also been shown to slow progression of AMD. Next, we go to the disease glaucoma. This is my favorite topic because this is my area. So it is actually a disease where the optic nerve is damaged due to high pressure in the eye, and this will cause typical visual field losses. So what we see in the eyeball, when we look at the optic nerve, if a normal nerve looks like this, the glaucomatous eye has lost some of the nerve, we call it the nerve fiber layer or the neuroretinal rim. And effects on the patient, they have gradual loss of vision, mainly visual field losses peripherally. So there are certain groups who are at risk, but again, older age is the most important risk. Now, it is a fairly asymptomatic disease, so your eyesight can still be very good. So to diagnose, you really need to come and have your eye pressure checked. You know, a doctor has to look, or an optometrist has to look into your eyes to look at the nerve, and you have to do a test or visual field test where there will be printouts. And if this is like a normal field where the only area that the person missing the spots is this, which is the blind spot, in a glaucomatous visual field loss, they have lost a lot more areas, and it's not just the blind spot. Okay, so blind spot is a normal thing in normal eyes. So these are examples of visual field losses in glaucomatous eyes. So in glaucoma, the treatment is to lower the pressure. Unfortunately, that is the only treatment we have now, either by giving medical treatment, laser, or by surgery. But you know, the treatments are a lifetime, and there is a lot of problems with the glaucoma eye drops, a lot of allergy. So a lot of my patients actually ask if there is anything they can do to actually reduce the severity of the glaucoma. So is there any role of diet in glaucoma? Well, first of all, it has been shown that those who are obese has higher intraocular pressure. So, and there has been studies where patients with rapid weight loss, for example, after bariatric surgery, find that their intraocular pressure actually reduced with the reduction in weight. Now, caffeine has been shown to increase eye pressure because it increases the production of the aqueous. However, it is not really associated with glaucoma. The studies haven't really shown that. Now, drinking tea is protective because of the polyphenols, And a study has shown that drinking 1 cup of tea per day, a group of patients has a reduced risk of glaucoma compared to a group who did not drink tea at all. Now, alcohol, there are mixed results, but basically they find that a small dose of alcohol is fine, but a large dose can increase your risk of getting glaucoma. Now, ginkgo biloba extract is one of the more non-conventional method of sort of treating glaucoma. It has been shown in various studies that the ginkgo biloba extract can vasodilate or increase the blood vessel diameter, therefore improving blood flow. It is also very protective of the cell for the cells, and it also has a neuroprotective effect and also an excitatory effect on the nerves. So this is very good to take if you have got glaucoma. Now, dark chocolates has also been known to have some phenols, which is good for the blood flow. However, it is only for normal eyes and not for glaucoma eyes. Now, taking fruits and vegetables, green leafy vegetables, as you know, they are powerful antioxidants, has all shown to have favorable results in reducing the risk of getting glaucoma. Now, saffron is something I just read about, and just one study from Iran, because you know where you can get saffron there, I guess, relatively cheaply, because it is actually very expensive, but they have found that saffron actually reduces intraocular pressure. Now, next is the dry eyes. As mentioned just now, our tears are produced by your lacrimal glands, and part of your tears are produced by your meibomian glands. The dry eye usually has non-specific symptoms. Patients usually complain of having blurred vision, feel there's a thick layer covering the eye, and when they rub the eye, the vision is clear again. Itchy eyes, tired eyes, red eyes. So all that sometimes can just be due to dry eye. So there are certain risk factors. Again, aging is one of the foremost risk factors in all the diseases. So blepharitis is inflammation of the eyelids, can also increase the risk of dry eye. Contact lens wear, patients on antihistamines, you know, you want to dry out your nose, you also dry out your eye. Patients who are menopausal, patients who have LASIK surgery, and these are cases where they are higher risk of getting dry eye. Now, this is to show you the meibomian glands, which is at the lid margin. Behind your eyelashes, there are actually small holes where there is a production of the meibomian secretion. This oily layer is supposed to prevent your tears from evaporating fast. But if your meibomian glands are producing very thick, you know, waxy secretion like this, it cannot cover your tears nicely, and therefore your tears evaporate very readily and you can experience dry eye. So this is how we detect dry eye. We look for scratches after we stain the eye, and we can also see how much tears you're producing, yeah, by putting this litmus strip at the eyelid. So dry eye treatment, you know, the basic treatment is of course your artificial tears. But there are nutrients that can improve dry eye disease, and among them is the omega-3 fatty acids, especially with EPA and DHA, the vitamins A, B, C, D, E, both fat-soluble and water-soluble, lutein, zeaxanthin, green tea, which is rich in polyphenols, flaxseed oil, which indirectly becomes omega-3, and the cod liver oil, which has both properties of anti-inflammatory properties and also omega-3 properties. Having said that, you know, I have been actually asking patients to improve their intake in omega-3, those who I find with dry eye and those with the meibomian gland problem. But the DREAM study, which is the dry eye assessment and management study, which is a randomized controlled trial to see how effective omega-3 is, actually found that there was no difference between giving omega-3 supplements and giving olive oil supplements. So that's a bit surprising. Well, both the patients both groups actually improved in their symptoms, but again, there was no difference between omega-3 fatty acid supplement or olive oil supplement. And they actually found out later, those who were on omega-3 stopped the omega-3 for 1 whole year, and yet the symptoms were the same. But having said that, in this group of patients, they are also taking other forms of treatment for dry eye, like the artificial tears and all that. So this supplement is only an additional treatment. So in summary, yes, what we eat can affect eye health, and proper nutrition can promote eye health. And as we have seen, beta carotene, vitamins A, B, C, D, E, lutein and zeaxanthin, omega-3 fatty acids, anthocyanins like from your grapes and your berries, and polyphenols like from your green tea, all those can affect eye health. Thank you for listening. And zinc.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Mimiwati, for such an insightful talk about the eye and some nutritional eye health. Prof has certainly briefed us a very informative talk on the eye diseases, as yes, certain food can affect our eye health. So if you have some questions for Professor Mimiwati, please do kindly write them in the Q&A box below, and we shall continue our feast and dig further deeper into the food. Our next speaker is Mrs. Goo Chui Hoong, who is a freelance dietitian and an author, and she will be talking to us about nutrients and the food. It is indeed our pleasure to have her on our platform today, as she has authored 3 cookbooks. Number 1 is Food for Your Eyes, which was awarded the best cookbook in the world in the health category 2012 by the annual Gourmet Cookbook Awards in Paris. I am one of your supporters. Her other books are Light Malaysian Favorites and Lost Recipe of Malaysia. They were published in 2014. She has worked in the field of nutrition for over 20 years in the UK, Singapore, and Malaysia, including a stint as a lecturer and a culinary instructor. She continues to promote her profession through media activities on TV, radio, and written media. I hope you are as excited as I am to hear her talk about food and the eye. So let us welcome Mrs. Goo, please.
A very good afternoon to all who are listening in today. I'd like to thank the College of Ophthalmologists, Academy of Medicine, for inviting me to speak on Food for Your Eyes. In conjunction with World Sight Day 2021, I'm happy to lend a hand and share some tips on fabulous foods to boost your eye health. Now, as Prof. Mimi has alluded earlier on, nutrition can actually play a part in eye diseases. And so I will go straight to what to eat. Let's see if this works. Right. So I will focus more on the antioxidants and omega-3 fats because studies have shown that these nutrients are actually beneficial in improving or delaying the advancement of age macular degeneration and also for eye diseases. So specifically, what antioxidants I'm going to talk about. I'm going to cover vitamin A, lutein, zeaxanthin, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, and then a little bit about omega-3 fatty acids. So where do you find vitamin A? Now, vitamin A is found in a lot of nuts and seeds, a lot of the orange, yellow colored vegetables like your pumpkin, your squash, your carrots, and lutein and zeaxanthin specifically is a type of carotenoid found in the vitamin A family. Now, for lutein and zeaxanthin, they are they're good for eye health because it's actually a pigment found in the eye. So so that's why lutein and zeaxanthin intake is beneficial for eye health. And so where do you find lutein and zeaxanthin? These nutrients are found naturally in dark green leafy vegetables like spinach, kailan, and egg yolks are particularly high. Well, the content of lutein in egg yolks are not very high, but because there's together with the fat content in egg yolks, it's more bioavailable compared to your spinach. Then you have your red wolfberries, commonly used in traditional Chinese medicine or Chinese cooking. So for example, if you stir fry your spinach or your kailan and you add some wolfberries in them, that would be a dish packed with lutein, zeaxanthin. And for the Chinese who boil soup and braise their meats, and sometimes they add some of these wolfberries into them, it also increases the lutein and zeaxanthin content in them. So maybe there is some truth in traditional Chinese medicine. Other antioxidants like vitamin E and vitamin C. Vitamin E is also another fat-soluble vitamin, so it's found mainly in nuts and seeds, whole grains, your fortified oils, margarines, avocados. For vitamin C, you find them mostly in your citrus fruits, your fruits and vegetables, basically. So dark green leafy vegetables are also a great source of vitamin C. Another strong antioxidant is zinc. Zinc is found mainly in animal-based products, so your meat, your chicken, and seafood also. Now, if given a choice between meat and seafood, seafood is actually a better source of zinc also, because it's not just high in zinc, but it's also low in fat. So adding more seafood into your diet is beneficial for your eyes. Other sources of zinc include your whole grains, your nuts and seeds. For omega-3 fatty acids, there's a lot of evidence. I mean, research is starting to show that it's beneficial for eye health, specifically in the role of tear function. Yeah, so and our heavy meat-based diet makes our omega-3 fat intake not very high. So incorporating a more Mediterranean style diet would actually increase your ratio of omega-3 in your diet. So good sources of omega-3 will be your salmon, some of your local fishes like your ikan tongko, your mackerel, your tenggiri, your ikan jalawat, catfish, yeah, and other seafood like mussels, squid, prawns. These are excellent sources of omega-3 fats. Now even your eggs are fortified with omega-3. Now, if you are vegan, there are other options like your flaxseed or your chia seeds, which are good sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Now, some people ask, oh, why don't I just take a supplement? Well, I guess if you compare how it looks, you know, eating a colorful platter with your friends is a social activity, eating. So getting your nutrients from your diet is probably a lot more interesting than, you know, popping pills. But there is a role for supplements. For example, like people may be allergic to seafood. So maybe you may need to top up with some omega-3 fatty acids, some fish oil capsules to get your omega-3s. And sorry, next. Now, my next slide, I'm showing you some pictures from my book, Food for Your Eyes, which was actually written together with my husband, who's an ophthalmologist. I wanted to show how easy it is to actually eat a healthful diet for your eye. So these are everyday meals, everyday foods. So even your fried rice, you can add some additional wolfberries into your fried rice to increase the content of lutein in them. Throwing it into your vegetables or your soup, and you stir fry vegetables or your soup also helps. So your spinach egg drop soup. If you're making curries or some fish, using your omega-3 rich fishes like your tenggiri into your asam fish also gives you a good source of omega-3. And then you also have dessert options, like here I showed the onde made with sweet potato. In Malaysia, we eat a lot of rice, but sometimes if you're bored of eating just normal plain rice, adding a variety, serving as a sushi, but you put healthful ingredients. For example, like here I put 3 options here. I use tuna, there's some I use spinach, some I use avocado and salmon. So lots of ways to get all the nutrients in just purely from eating. And I mentioned just now, stir frying your vegetables with some wolfberries. And then here in Malaysia, we have so much lemongrass, making a jelly out of lemongrass, but serving it with lots of fruits and vegetables makes it a great source of antioxidants. Now, for the eye supplements, some people ask, oh, what kind of eye supplements should I be taking? Now, if let's say you have advanced stage AMD and your doctor feels, oh, yes, maybe you might need some eye supplements, this is the actual dosage recommended, which is actually very high. So like say vitamin C is 5 times more than your normal recommended intake. And vitamin E is 20 times more than the recommended intake. So these are actually mega doses of vitamins. So you don't just take it for fun. It's if you've got specific conditions, then it will be prescribed by your doctors. So the take-home message actually is to eat a colorful platter, lots of fruits and vegetables. Don't stick to one type of color, because you want to make sure you get a whole variety of vitamins and minerals. Then incorporate more whole grains, nuts and seeds. So it's a very Mediterranean style type of diet. Choose less refined carbohydrates and include oily fish in your diet. Yes. So these are the 4 simple messages to remember. And thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Here I've just featured 3 of the books which I've written. And I hope to hear from you during the Q&A session so that you can ask questions so that I can be more specific to your answers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Goo, for such an eye-opening talk, which to me was very informative and interesting. For those of you who do not know, Mrs. Goo is actually the wife of Dr. Kenneth Fong, who is a very well-known name in our own ophthalmology household. He is a very renowned ophthalmologist in Malaysia. So for now, I'd like to open the floor to any questions that the listeners here would have. You can type them in the Q&A box below for our panelists to answer. So the College of Ophthalmologists has actually organized a TikTok competition in conjunction with Love Your Eye World Sight Day 2021, which is open for all medical students. So shall we play the videos of the TikTok winners with the theme Food and Eye? And these are the winners for this week. The first prize winner will receive 300 ringgit. The second prize winner will receive 250 ringgit. And the third prize winner will receive 200 ringgit. Shall we have the videos up and going?
ちもちもちもしい気持ち嬉しいってマジちちちちもちもちもちもしいってマジ楽しいってマジ雨降っていいこともあるけどこんな場合って条件がない晴れ間とインドがあるそれ今日のハイでちょっとだナイスちちちちもしもしもピンチが来てちもしがいてちちちもちろんなマジ待ってろってマクセクセ楽しい四つ葉のクローバー取ればそれはハッパーユースハッピーハッチもし頼もしいらしいあと優しいって話メルシーあっちこっちたちまち変わる運気予報はふむふむでもふもふ日も幸も行かないやらせちちちもちも道のちもしちちちもちも君の気持ちまっき梅にも
Congratulations to all the winners of the TikTok competition. You will be contacted by the College of Ophthalmology person in charge after this. So let's move on to the Q&A session. We have a few questions. Yeah, one is from Mr. Jukau. Some of the food items mentioned are generally beneficial for the eye health of senior citizens who suffer from glaucoma and cataract, etc. But they do have a high glucose content, which is detrimental to them who are also diabetic. So how do we achieve a balance in this respect? Maybe Mrs. Goo, would you like to take this question?
Sorry, it was a little bit unclear just now. Do you mind repeating the question again? Sorry.
Some of the food items that we mentioned are actually beneficial for eye health of senior citizens, for glaucoma as well as for cataract. But the listener would like to know, because all those content are higher glucose content, which is not so good for those who are diabetic. So he would like to know, how do we achieve a balance in this respect?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Wendy, for the question. For diabetic patients, one of the main concerns is the carbohydrate load when you consume the food item. So I think maybe you may be alluding to things like sweet potato or, carbohydrate-based vegetables or even fruits, which have got high sugar content in them. So I mean, they are beneficial because they've got high content of antioxidant, which is beneficial for eye health. But the problem is, as long as the key thing is to manage your portion sizes and to distribute your carbohydrate intake, so that at any one point when you're eating, the amount of carbohydrate in your meal is not high dose, whereby your insulin cannot actually cope with the carbohydrate load. So it's not about not eating these vegetables and fruits, but it's managing the portion so that and then distributing it so that you don't eat it all at one go.
And probably more high leafy vegetables will be helpful in
the
such
fiber
cases as
content
well.
also will definitely help. Yeah, that slows down the absorption of the sugar into the bloodstream.
Okay, we have another question here. Dato Ahmad, is eating a lot of spicy food good for eye health? So I think we will leave it to the dietitian experts to answer this.
Well, I mean, chilies are very appetizing. I love chilies in my food. I love chili patties. Chilies have got capsaicin, and a type of phytonutrient, but it's not been shown to directly improve the health of eyes, but it is a phytonutrient, which there's no harm in taking it. So yeah.
Mimi, do you have anything that you want to add? No spicy
Oh.
food in health?
Oh yeah, I like spicy food because I think it increases my basal metabolic rate. So maybe you burn more calories although you
Triathlon.
but at the same time, just adding to this, because I read that for, I'm not so sure, was it lutein or zeaxanthin, they actually use bell peppers as the ingredient. So maybe in a way you get your I don't know whether it's lutein or zeaxanthin from eating chilies. I don't know whether bell peppers and chilies are the same.
They may contain a little bit of lutein and zeaxanthin, so maybe from that aspect, they might be slightly beneficial. Yeah. But you'll probably have to be taking quite large amounts of it to get the you'll get a fiery kick in your meal.
Or burn a hole in your stomach.
Because so as a practicing ophthalmologist myself, I'm actually often asked by patients, some of them will bring their supplements along and ask, hey doctor, is this good for me or is it not good for me? Well, now we know that there are certain food or supplements that may potentially help their eyes. It is important also to inform the public, that there may be some side effects of these supplements because these supplements actually contain a very high dosage of nutrients, if both of the panelists would agree, especially for smokers, especially if the public may not know, is that taking unnecessary supplements, especially those who are higher in beta-carotenoid supplementation, it can actually increase their risk of lung cancer. Also, we're not too sure whether, mixing herbal traditional supplementary medicine with their conventional medicine for their heart attack, for their blood pressure will be safe, because we don't really have data on their interaction and safety profile. So what are the both of our panelists' opinion about all this mix and match regime? So Prof, would you want to go first?
Mix and match for the, you mean the supplements?
Traditional and conventional medicine. What is your opinion about it?
I think traditional, the problem is you do not know what the ingredients are. And most of the time, if it makes you feel good, there's some steroids in them. So we just have to be aware. But having said that, just want to touch on, for example, one of the supplements that I would recommend to some glaucoma patients, for example, ginkgo. I don't recommend it to all, especially if they're already on something that thins their blood. So if they're already on, on Ticlid or, on blood thinners, aspirin, I think there's no, I feel that there's probably no added advantage to add some more supplements, and especially if they're already eating a handful of tablets, and to add that, to their treatment. And according to, as you mentioned, according to the IRAD study, the age study for aging, beta carotene was taken out for fear of lung cancer in smokers, but also the zinc supplement was also modified in some patients to make it half the amount, because zinc, if it's too high, can cause some stomach problems and also some urinary problems as well.
If I may add on, I think the other thing to be wary of is because the supplements, a lot of it are fat-soluble vitamins. So your vitamin A, E, and taking an excess of fat-soluble vitamins, they're not actually, gotten rid of as easily as the water-soluble vitamins. So an excess intake of vitamin A, carotenoids, you might find, your palms start to yellow a little bit also. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, I do. I did have a patient who came in all yellow because of too much lutein, zeaxanthin. He feels it's safer for his eyes.
We have one more question up in the Q&A section. Katie would like to know if there is any exercise that are good for the eyes. Prof, would you want to take this?
Yeah. So I think, well, it depends. Are you talking about eye exercises like moving your eye left up, because some of my elderly Chinese patients especially, they do all this, it's not Tai Chi, what do you call it? No? It's one of the martial arts or that they do every morning in the garden. So they, Zigong, is it? I think so. So they tend to move their eyes, and they actually taught me how to do eye exercises from them, like you rub your hands and do that. So, but the thing is, I told them we never learned that in medical school. Yeah, I mean, moving the eyes is good for you, but moving the body, yes, that is quite definite. So if you exercise regularly, like for glaucoma patients, your IOP is also a bit lower, and it helps with the overall health of your nerves. So basically, I just learned watching some videos. The key to anti-aging is two things: to starve and to be breathless. To be hungry and be breathless. So be breathless, I think the exercises that you need to do are probably you have to incorporate some of the high intensity exercises to actually gain some benefits from the exercise.
All right, I think we have answered. Oh, there's one more question. Shall we take this? It's almost 2 o'clock. One last question. Would vitamin overdose have an adverse effect, especially on the eye? Mrs. Goo, would you? Is there such a thing as
Specifically
vitamin?
for the eye, I'm not sure whether it's specific for the eye, but as I mentioned just now about the high doses of fat soluble vitamins, it's more the whole body rather than just specifically the eye, and with the zinc supplements, if at high doses, if because the supplement is actually a mega dose, so it affects the what do you call that, bioavailability of other nutrients. So whether these supplements actually have an effect directly on the eye at an overdose level, I'm not sure. I mean, Prof. Mimi, what do you think?
I'm not too sure. I don't think, I don't think any disease comes to mind. But I think the most common vitamin that we tend to overdose is actually vitamin C. So they say you have the side effect is having expensive urine.
Yes, correct.
But again, I am a firm believer of vitamin C. I take 1 gram per day myself. So regardless whether it's it goes out, but as long as it doesn't really disturb your stomach, that should be fine.
Okay, so we are nearing the end of our session now. So in conclusion, our mothers are right. Eat your vegetables, eat your fruits, eat them in a variety of colors, green, orange, red. They are good foods that are good not just for your eye health and as well as for our general well-being. And these are confirmed by our local experts today. So a little advertisement, there will be 2 other public online forum next week, also in conjunction with World Sight Day. So if you're interested to learn about diabetes and its effect on the eye, a Bahasa Malaysia forum will be held. Diabetes and MAPA will be held next Thursday, the 11th of November, 1 to 2 o'clock. And English forum, Diabetes and the Eye, will be held next Saturday, on the 13th of November, 1 to 2 o'clock as well. So for those of you who are interested to learn more about your eyes and the diabetes, please click onto the QR code that is being shared right now, and do join us next week live. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Professor Dr. Mimiwati and Mrs. Goo for teaching us so much today. I think that we have learned so much, and I would like to also thank the College of Ophthalmology and Academy of Ophthalmology Malaysia for organizing this weekly online forum for the public to educate us about food and the eye. Other education that they have done are eye trauma, and next week it will be on diabetic retinopathy, diabetes and the eye. Thank you also to Bayers for organizing this platform. Thank you to everyone who are here today. With that, my name is Dr. Wendy C, and once again, thank you for joining us during this lunchtime today. I hope everyone is staying safe, keeping safe, and continue to love your eye. Goodbye for now. From Kuching, Sarawak. Bye. Have a good Saturday. Thank you.